Well, the LeBron James saga finally concludes with him signing a 2-year deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. And when you first hear that, you think, oh my goodness, how are they going to afford him? Well, for once, it seems like he took a really, really substantial pay cut as he's only making $4 million a year. Yes, LeBron James in 2026 is going to be making $4 million with the Philadelphia 76ers. And my initial thought with this deal was, first of all, I mean, we knew it was going to be either between Philly, Miami, or Cleveland. I mean, that's realistically what it was going to be. I do think this was the best landing spot for him when it comes to, winning a championship and all of that stuff. And I do think that with LeBron there, their starting five should be what? Bare minimum top three in the NBA, because you have Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, right? Tyrese Maxey averaged close to 30 points per game last year. VJ Edgecombe is a phenomenal slasher, as well as someone who is on the up and up and had a relatively good playoffs, mainly against the 76ers, or mainly against the Celtics for the 76ers, because, they struggled against New York, which can't blame them too much for that. And then you also have, just Jaylen Brown, someone who's an all NBA caliber player last year, at bare minimum top 15 player in the sport, has the size, versatility, defensively, shooting, slashing, everything but playmaking, and dribbling, which you're surrounded by a very good group to do so. Then you've got LeBron James, and the biggest question mark of them all is at the center position being Joel Embiid. And when I look at this 76ers team, the first thing that it reminds me of was that Boston Celtics team, coincidentally, when Jaylen Brown was much younger, where you had Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, all of those where you had a ton of talented players, but you didn't have the great leadership. I don't think this one will be the case, mainly because LeBron James simply will not let that type of thing slide, and it's also when you have someone who is on that upper echelon of the sport, and this is mainly in all sports, where if you have someone who it's going to be one of their last few years, and you also have someone who is just that good, you elevate your standard to match that, right? There is an element of these people are very, very competitive, so if he gets there first to a facility, somebody will join him to try to beat him at that. And I think that is going to help. The idea of, okay, if Joel Embiid, he will not play every game. Like, that is going to happen. You have a pretty good backup five in Dembona and Ariel Hukporti. Like, those guys are decent. But I also wouldn't mind the idea of LeBron being a small ball five at this stage in his career, because he's still 6'9", 250, bigger, faster, stronger. But I think that it's the way that the modern NBA is, you don't need to be this 7'2", 325, just absolute behemoth. Somebody who can space the floor, can do all the ball handling stuff, and the little stuff works. And I also think that if you pair that with like Dean Wade, who would play at the four, that is a very defensive, switchable, and decent shooting lineup. And I think that the only thing that could realistically stop this team is injuries. And when talking about the injury stuff, it's not great if the two players who are primarily going to be your bigs are going to be the players who are better in the post and are going to be kind of attacking the paint. That makes me at least a little bit more nervous if they go and play a team who's better against who is just good defensively with big men. Like, more specifically, going back to this year's series when the 76ers played the Celtics. The Celtics did not have a good big man there, and so Joel Embiid was able to just go crazy. Now they do in Mitchell Robinson, even though he cannot shoot a free throw to save his life. But I am just a little bit worried that if push comes to shove, and one of those two is out for a prolonged period, which will happen, because, let's face it, Joel Embiid and LeBron James, those two are going to play maybe combined 100 games at best out of the 164 that they could play. Like, those guys are going to miss time. I mean, it is a fact. And I think that this is going to be the season where we see either Ariel Hukporti or Adem Bona step up. Because when Joel Embiid misses time, you either will put LeBron James as a small ball five, which I don't hate the idea of that, quite frankly. I think it works very well. But I do think that if that is the case, you need Dean Wade to step up. You need your pretty deep rotational wings to step up. I don't love the idea of Jaylen Brown being a small ball four. I don't like that idea, but I do think that if you could put like Trendon Watford or Jabari Walker, if you can get those guys better, cool. Because I mean, I think that you have, for what you would expect of a team where, when healthy, two of the three best players on the team are over 30 and over 40. Like, you would expect this team to be relatively old. They're not. By any means, they are not old, right? Anthony Simons, as a backup guard, 27. Labaron Philon, right? Their young draft pick, 20. Tyrese Maxey, 25. Caleb Love, the two-way player who was pretty good with Portland last year, 24. VJ Edgecombe, 20. Jaylen Brown, 29 and only getting better. Trendon Watford, 25. Jabari Walker, 23. Dean Wade, 29. Dalen Terry, Chicago Bull legend, 24. LeBron, 41. Justin Edwards, 22. Johnny Broom, 24. Dominic Barlow, 23. Ariel Hukporti, 24. Joel Embiid, 32. And Adem Bona, 23. So, yes, the core of your team is a little bit older. They still have a few years. But if you are able to integrate the younger guys and get them to that standard and have them improve, cool, because then you've got a young group, and it's not like your two best players for the future in Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe have a combined age that is 4 years older than LeBron James. Like, these two guys are young. So it's like they have another 8 years or so of being really good. And if you can get Joel Embiid to where he can be kind of a tertiary option, that would be cool. Now, again, I do not trust Joel Embiid to be healthy whatsoever because he hasn't shown that fact over the last few years. Because last year, 38 games. Year before, 19. Year before that, 39, right? In the playoffs, he played 7 games, and year before that, he played 6 games. Joel Embiid has never made it to a conference finals, right? That is kind of a running joke. And if there is a chance for him to do so, it is this year. Because this is the best opportunity he will have. And I also think that it's not like the future is bleak either, because the 76ers are just over the first apron, not the second. Because usually what kills teams is the second apron. They are not even $1 million over it, as they are close to $500,000 over the first apron. So quite literally, if they could just ask someone, hey, could you give us back some money? That'd be pretty cool. They'd be under it. And it's not like they're extremely far over it, and it's not like, oh my goodness, we can't manage that whatsoever. Like, if you just go ahead and say, you know what? I don't love Adem Bona and Dominic Barlow. We'll take those two off the books. You're under it by $5 million. I mean, literally, if you look at who the worst player on this team is, if you say, you know what? I don't like Ryan Rupert. Let's get rid of him. You're underneath it. Like, you have all the flexibility. You have your trade exceptions of $4.2 million. You have your biannual 2.1 exception, and you can get the veteran minimum. So it's like, if you need someone to step in the middle part of the season, say, for example, like there is I would hate this for them, but like if you have faith in like a DeAndre Ayton gets bought out and you need to go bring him in, you can give him these options available. I mean, it's not ideal, but you have the flexibility going forward, right? You have the star players on your nucleus paid. The only question mark for the future of this team is that Joel Embiid behemoth contract, because it is a bad contract. It is. He's going to be making close to $60 million every year for the next few years, and it does not look like he will age very well. That is the only concern that I have going forward for this team, and if that is the big issue, I'm cool with that. Because if needed, you can have Joel Embiid be kind of like a super sub in soccer, where it's like, with the minutes that he's out there, we're going to win those minutes, and we have good enough talent surrounding him that if we can get a good rotational group, we are perfectly fine with that. Like, I think this 76ers team is the best that they have been in this process era, and I know that we say that every year and they still fall short, but if they are going to break through, this is the opportunity for it, because you have the switchability defensively, you have the speed, you have the shooting, you have the ball handling, you have the playmaking, you also have that dog mentality. And I think that is something that really has been lacking. Like, when you look at the early process era, you had Ben Simmons there, you had Markelle Fultz there. The time when they had the most success was when they had Jimmy Butler there for that half of a season. Now, they did mess up and pay Tobias Harris, Mr. Crumble Cookie himself, but you have the dog mentality now. And so I think that with all of these factors in mind, I would not be surprised if they can make the finals, but I will say, I would not be surprised if this team crashes and burns because I do get serious 2018 Boston Celtics vibes of we have all this talent, it just doesn't work out. I don't think that'll happen, but there's just a flashing alarm in my mind saying this reminds me of it. So I'm just going to kind of, keep tabs on how things go here. And it's like, if you can have Anthony Simons and Labar and Phylon as your backup guards, cool. Like seriously, that is fantastic. You have decent depth everywhere. All signs are pointing to this being a good team. And I think that with this Philadelphia team, when you think about you got Jaylen Brown and LeBron James for a combined of 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and Jaylen Brown and Paul George to get Jaylen Brown and LeBron. That is just fantastic general management. And I think that this really shows that, you know, bringing in new GMs and not settling for success is crucial because they fired Daryl Morey. And I will say, the fact that Stephen A. Smith went on television one time and talked about how Daryl Morey is moving properly and cool was kind of funny. But in all seriousness, this team is really, really good. This team is really built now to compete with the Knicks, to compete with the teams in the East, and to make deep playoff runs. But make sure to go ahead and like, subscribe. It's absolutely crucial to the channel. We've reached the end of the video, but this has been The Scoop with Coop. I'm, of course, Coop, and until next time, so long, everybody.